Welcome to the First Down Legacy Podcast, your gateway to the exciting world of multifamily real estate investing. If you're eager to discover the strategies, insights, and success stories that will take your investment game to the next level, you've come to the right place. In each episode, we delve deep into the multifamily investing arena, sharing expert advice, interviews with industry leaders, and valuable tips to help you build your own legacy through multifamily real estate. Whether you're a seasoned pro or just starting out, our podcast is your playbook for scoring big in the world of multifamily investing. Join us as we explore the ins and outs of multifamily properties, uncover the latest market trends, and learn from those who have already achieved remarkable success in this dynamic field. Get ready to huddle up and tackle multifamily investing like a pro. This is the First Down Legacy Podcast, where your journey towards financial prosperity begins. Let's get started. Well, welcome, George, to the First Down Legacy Podcast. It's an honor to have you here on a holiday week. And I appreciate you coming on and taking the time to join us here on the First Down Legacy Podcast.
Absolutely, brother, man. Thank you, Matt, for having me here today, man. It's an honor to be here. It's been a beautiful year, and it's been a great holiday. So appreciate you, man.
Yeah, man. Let's talk about that. You said it's been a beautiful year. You know, what are some of the things that you can tell us about that your company and your capital group has accomplished here in 2023?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, to start off, this is the first year where we've bought 10 projects. We just closed our 10th one last night. So 10 investment properties, most of them for short-term rental, right? We do short-term vacation rentals here in Texas, and we're going to be expanding here outside of Texas pretty soon. But that's a great accomplishment, right? At the beginning of the year, I mean, you sometimes don't plan to buy as many properties. Our goal was to have 10 million under assets under management, and we came darn close to it, man. So
well, you got to aim high in order to pretty much gain any ground, right? So it sounds like you guys did an amazing job. So short-term rentals, is that the focus that your group is focusing on right now, or do you kind of just your strategy kind of just spreads out over multifamily and different asset classes?
yeah, absolutely, man. So we are fully and 100% focused on short-term vacation rentals inside our capital group. Now, personally, my wife and I, take some of the properties down. We buy a lot of creative finance, which we can dive a little deeper into. I love that subject, right? We buy them sub 2, and we turn them into wraps. So I would say 2 out of 10 would be wraps, and then the other 8 would be short-term rentals. We convert them into notes, right? So that's our niche, and then we've created this year. I would say the biggest accomplishment was launching our private equity fund, right? And it's all focused on short-term vacation rentals. That took way more work than buying the 10 properties just to put that together. So
okay, amazing. So let's dive a little bit deep into that. Then you mentioned the creative financing, right? You said you sub 2. So what's the strategy there? Do you find distressed properties? Do you go direct to seller on those sub 2s? Can you walk me a little bit through that?
Yeah, absolutely. No, I've been in real estate for 6 years, and it's been over full time, right? Full time it's a good amount of hours, but when you get started, you actually work 80 hours a week, as an entrepreneur or as a real estate professional. I've been doing real estate since 2018, and I started doing fix and flips, wholesale deals. I've done over 100 deals in the last 6 years, and about 40% of that, like about 40 of those deals have been fix and flips, owner finance, wholesale deals, right? We've purchased them and just sold them. The other ones have been, a majority of that portfolio has been rental arbitrage. We've kind of created these different niches, and I started trying to figure out like what was my niche, right? So I tested almost everything in single family you could dream of, except for maybe lease options, right?
Okay.
And then maybe, but we've done it all, but we ended up settling in short-term vacation rentals for the main reason that when I started real estate, I started because I wanted to not just build a legacy, right? That goes right along with the name of your podcast, right? First Down Legacy. Right?
That's right.
So I wanted to build a legacy for myself, right? Abundance for myself. I wanted to build a legacy and abundance for my family.
Correct.
And the only and best way that I knew was real estate, right? So I tried everything I could, and then I ended up niching down on short-term vacation rentals because I needed cash flow, right? And at the
Correct.
time, flips weren't giving me cash flow, right? Wholesaling wasn't giving me cash flow, so and long-term rentals definitely don't give any cash flow, right? So and that's why I love the short-term vacation rental model. And then we've tweaked it, we have improved it, and we've mastered it
Awesome.
over time.
Yeah, man. I love the energy and the passion. I mean, you can hear the passion from it. You talk about 6 years ago, right? When you first started, you were putting over 80 hours in one week. Uh, can you talk a little bit about the first steps, right? As far as educating yourself and being able to put into action. What does that look like for you in the first couple of years or in the first couple of months as a real estate investor?
Absolutely, brother. If it's okay, I know we didn't do this at the beginning, but I like to give a quick synopsis in maybe 2, 3 minutes about how I got started and how I actually, you know,
Of
became
course.
a real estate investor. That's okay. My journey.
Yeah, of
So
course.
I love
Let's
it,
hear it.
man. Absolutely. So my journey started when I was 6. I'm from Peru. I moved here as an immigrant, right, at 15 years old. And while in Peru, I lived in an adobe house. My family was very, very poor. Okay. So we lived in an adobe house, and half of the house collapsed. I grew
Wow.
up playing soccer on the streets, really just having barely enough, right? My mom was a single mother after, her and my dad got a divorce, so I mean, you can imagine, right? And we were in a small town of 50,000 people, lived in an adobe house, and half of the house had collapsed, brother. And then how it collapsed, because there was adobe houses there back then, right? The roof lining moved out, and we didn't have the money to fix it. So it was a very hard few years for us, and especially my family. And then essentially we had the opportunity to move here with my mom, right? My mom, she remarried and built a new family. She always wanted to build a legacy for us, to help us have the opportunity so that we could build that for ourselves and our families, right? So
Correct.
we ended up
Yep.
moving here to the US, and at the age of 15, I'm 39 right now. It's about 20 something, 24 years ago. And then I went into hospitality, right? So I always had the urge of hanging around people, right? Of being able to communicate. Part of my purpose is connection, right? So I'm a great connector, and that's essentially what has been developed. So it always goes back to, like, how do I connect with people, like you and I connected, right? So,
Right.
and that was the beginning of the journey, right? Went into hospitality from 15 to about 23. And then after that, I went even deeper into hospitality as I started, my first solopreneur ship, right? And then that was leading a marketing company or a marketing group where I was solo, and I was marketing different venues around Houston, Texas, and creating the marketing and just getting people there. Again, connecting people, right? So I did that for 10 years, right? And at year 7, right? This is 2014. So year 7,
Okay.
2014, I launched we started building out a venture with a partner that had seeked out to me, and then I had saved quite a few $100,000 back then, and then I had saved because I was living a very, very small life, right? And I was saving quite a lot. I had a great business going, so I ended up investing over $300,000 into a new venture as an LP, as a limited
Okay.
partner. For the audience listening, a limited partner in this type of real estate partnership is someone that does not have, it's limited in their partnership abilities and just as an investor, right? So there was a
Correct.
general partner that built out this venue, and I was able to, like, get people together at the venue, and I was the marketer, the promoter, right? And then I led the marketing part of it, but I was only a limited partner, so I had no say so. Fast
Okay.
forward a year and a half after that, we ended up launching the venue, right? Ground up construction on a ground lease, 10-year triple net, right? We launched in $1.3 million in debt. So this is a $1.3 million venue, right? And then from there, fast forward a year and a half later, I lost everything, Okay. Lost every dollar I had put in.
Wow.
And the reason for that is because the operator, right, the GP, the general partner, had not negotiated the lease terms to be repaid back from the lost rent that we didn't pay before we opened. So we got locked out of this brand new venue. Imagine you build something, right? You don't own the land, but then they lock you out. This is what happens in commercial, commercial real estate, right? This is what happens when you don't have it all together. So my lesson from there, Matt, was that number one, don't ever put all your eggs in one basket, right? I was like 27, 20, 29 at the time. That's number one, or when I started doing this. Number two is vet the people that you invest in, the operator, right? And number three, diversify or die, right? Diversify or die. So that happened, and this is 2017, right when the hurricane hit Houston, Texas, right? The whole Texas coast. And
Yeah,
I was broken. Okay. Not only broke, but I was broken, Matt.
of course.
I had absolutely nothing. I didn't know what to do. Right. So I'm sitting in my apartment and I make one decision from a phone call. A friend calls me and he's like, come to my flip. I go to a drive in his flip and
Okay.
I walk out of that flip and he had 15 people there, good friend of mine. And that was the breakthrough that I had, the outside breakthrough where like I realized that my potential was bigger than that, right? That I could do better. And I wasn't gonna settle for mediocrity. I wasn't gonna stay where I was at. So that was the outer breakthrough I had. And then when I went home that day, the next morning I had another internal breakthrough. And that was like me saying, that's it. I'm not staying where I'm at. I'm gonna go bust my butt to build a career in real estate. That's how I got into real estate. That was an instant, right? A decision that I made put me in a path to legacy, to build it through where we are today, and then after that, I went on. This is 2018 now. First month, or 3 months later, I'm sorry. So I'm taking 2017, September-ish, boom, I make a decision. Then 3, 4 months later, January, February, I get my first deal. Middle of that 2018 year, I've done over 15 deals, right?
Wow.
End of the year, I've done over 30 deals, including 10 short-term rentals. So I was going speed, building, while still living under my means, right? So reinvesting everything I had, right, into myself, my education, the courses, right,
Yeah,
the conferences, the books, the network, the mentorship, everything, right? Because growth comes through mentorship. It comes through, like improving yourself,
of
right?
course.
So that was my big transition, and fast forward 2019 to today, we've built a nice little portfolio of tons of experience and a great track record. Several failures there while we were in real estate, right? Also, right?
Hmm.
Beginning doing flips, we lost money in 2 deals, right? Our first short-term rentals, the first 10 were just small, right? And they were smaller deals. So it was all a learning lessons. Is what we go through to really master our craft, right? I've put my
Right.
10,000 plus hours already over the last few years there. But today I've learned it all, and I've gone through some tough times, Matt. And that's the biggest lesson. Bad times make strong people, and good times make weak people, right? So
Wow.
we're
Yes.
strong and the best at what we do, right? And today we have a nice portfolio with almost $10 million, about a little bit over $8 million in assets that we manage of our own, right?
Okay.
We have a private equity fund in short-term rentals that we just launched, and we're making an impact in the world, Matt. Right? We're talking, and we have a great network and amazing people like yourself that we get to hang out with every day.
So George, man, it's amazing because you talk about, from the days back in Peru, right? So you faced adversity from a very young age, right? Subconsciously or consciously, that essentially fast forward when this happened to you in 2017, you say you lost it all. You weren't going to stand still with your hands, in your pockets and just twiddling your thumbs. you found course of action, and most importantly, you took action. So fast forward to today, you said a little bit over 8 million, about 10 million in assets under management. You have your own fund. Okay. So if someone's looking to start in short-term rentals, would you I mean, everyone's situation is different, but would you recommend arbitrage? Would you recommend, going and buying your first short-term rental property? How does someone find a door in the way?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's a place to start, and where I personally started, I can share my journey, right? Instead of, I wouldn't recommend anything for anyone unless it fits them, right? So there's a few options to get started, right? If you if you have some funds, some money to get started, right? Buying the properties is always for me the best way, because I can take advantage of the benefits of real estate in addition to the cash flow that I'm creating, right? Today,
Okay,
we don't pay a dime in taxes, right? In income taxes, because I get to depreciate the properties that we buy every year, right?
correct.
With two cost segregations, three cost segregations, that's over $300,000 easily on three deals, right? So what I would do is I would recommend somebody that doesn't have a lot of money
Yeah.
to, if they want higher cash flow, short-term vacation rentals is a great strategy. They just have to know what they're doing, right? They have to
Okay.
understand the markets, what type of property, right? So I started with each property, Matt, that each unit, each listing that I launched when I first started, out of the 10, because I'll have 10 by the end of December 31st of my first year, they were a $5,000 acquisition. So how do I break that down? Right?
Yeah.
$5,000. I had $900 in first month rent, which was the rental arbitrage, where you rent to rent strategy, right?
Yep.
$900 in deposits and $3,000 in furniture. That was each unit. And these units would make me $1,500 to $2,000, had 2-year leases. And that's a great position for someone that didn't have a lot of cash, right? To get started with different units. Now, I took my wholesaling dollars and I
Yeah.
invested. And that's how I got the
Of course.
50K down. I took, like that summer, July, I had made like my first month wholesaling. It was July. I made $60,000 in wholesale fees. And I took that and I reinvested every dime into these small short-term rentals. Very, right? They were small, right? $5,000 a unit, not a lot of risk, right in downtown Houston. So that was a great strategy at the time, right? So after COVID, I wouldn't recommend that to many people unless you're doing more of a high-end unique property. We've transitioned our model from there to higher end unique, right? So that's good to start. Now, other people can start also with, if they want to buy, they have a little cash, 20, 30,000, right?
Yeah.
Buying a subject to creative finance. I'm sure you're familiar with it, right? It's
Yes.
very talked about today. So that's all we do nowadays. We buy subject to properties at 3, 4, 5% interest rates with 10, 15% equity built in, right?
Okay.
And then we buy them from sellers who just want to get rid of their homes, and we take over the payments. We take over the payments and the deed. It's ours, right?
Of
And
course.
they
Yep.
hold the mortgage. So the financing, right? The most important thing on the front, the financing other than acquiring the property, is already in place,
It's already in place. Correct.
right? And
Yes.
we take that interest rate, we take that equity they put in, right? Those payments they've made, right? And we take over and we now convert it into our own strategy. And it all obviously based on, you have to underwrite, you have to make sure the numbers work out, right? So that's another way for somebody that's wanting to get started, that has a little bit of cash and wants some cash flow, right? So I love that strategy, brother. So
Yeah, George. I mean, I'd love to learn personally more about that strategy. You talk about educating yourself, and I began in the real estate investing or learning education as early as this year, man. September of 2023 is where it's like, hey, you know what? Um, I'm gonna focus on what it is to become a real estate investor. So my niche right now is focusing on multifamily real estate. But again,
nice.
thank you. But if obviously, if you know anything about it, it's that like, hey, it takes time from point A to point B, which is the time of closing. So currently, I've been part of a GP team for a deal out in South Carolina, but of course, as a newer real estate investor or just being new into this field, right, I don't really have the credibility as far as assets under management, to have that experience, right, to have individuals, accredited investors to come and invest with me. So it was very tough for that capital raise out in South Carolina, right? So it didn't go as planned, but I continue to push forward. And excuse the interruption, but I have a very important message for each and every one of you. If you've made it through the video this far, it could only mean that you are ready to take your multifamily career to the next level. If you book a call with me in the link below, I can show you step by step on how I've been able to create passive income, build a legacy I've always wanted, and turn my dreams into a reality. Book a call with me now, and I too can show you how to align your purpose through multifamily investing. Let's go. And with that, I mean, is I was able to source a deal out in Louisiana, another multifamily 200 units, to where this time around I came and I put strategic partnerships in place. Sponsors who have more than $300 million in assets under management, an asset manager who is currently working on smaller deals, more like 36 units, 42 units in the Louisiana area. But again, they're operating in that state. So, as a beginner in a multifamily space, is like I need to partner with these individuals who are already in the game and that can essentially help me accelerate my career by learning from them. So that's something that we have going on right now. That's the main project that I have going on right now. As far as we're taking a property tour on January 2nd, and we're looking to get it under contract sooner after that. But again, this is something that's going to play out over the next 2 to 3 months. Correct. So you talk about the the monthly cash flow, and yeah, man, like I said, that's something that I want to learn more about as far as short-term rentals. So here, let me show you. This just came in the mail.
Absolutely.
This just came in the mail. I don't know if you can see it. It just came
How
in
to
the mail.
become. Oh man, yes, I read that book. I learned from that guy. The arbitrage part, I learned from
Correct.
Brian. Personally met the guy. Great guy, man. I love
Correct.
it. Yeah.
So again, this is something I'm looking forward. You talk about having a few $1,000s to invest, to learn about the arbitrage side of things, right? Minimal risk at that point, right? So yeah, George, I'd love to connect, with you more outside of this call to kind of, help me guide in that space.
Brother, let's have a 1 hour, session where I can go deeper into our strategy, what we're doing compared to like different other strategies out there, including the book you just showed me, right? So
Of course.
that is beautiful. The fact that, right, let me take it back to what you're doing. It is beautiful. And that I want to highlight for the listeners and viewers, okay? What
Okay.
you just said is starting from, not having a lot of track record, not having the asset or management, right, getting into deals of such caliber. Congratulations to you. That is almost impossible for 99%, and you are the 1%er, right? And then the reason for that, I'm going to call it out in my opinion, other than your hustle, it is the power of partnerships, right? So
Yes,
I
sir.
admire and I give you major props. I know we chatted about that and how you actually went into these big, huge deals to be a GP, a partner, right, in these deals from very little experience, right? So amen to that, brother. I give you major props for integrating yourself into these types of communities, and I know you're going to do it big, man. So congratulations on all the accomplishments so far, and I'd love to go over the short-term rental side of things. I know when you do these bigger deals, they take a while, right?
Yes.
Short-term rental, 3 months, you're already cash flow positive for that month, right? Maybe 2
Yes,
months
sir.
sometime, right? We
Okay.
launched them immediately. So that is a great advantage of it. But man, great job, brother. Congratulations.
Thank you, George. I appreciate that. And it's not you can attest to this. Starting early, right, in your real estate career, right? You have a family to look after, you have kids, right? It could be an emotional roller coaster as far as the time that you're taking away from your loved ones to try to build a legacy, right? What we talked about a little bit earlier. So that's essentially what I'm doing here, man. I'm 27 years old, and I've always had a mindset of, becoming a business owner, being an operator, to having my own legacy. So he's like, hey, why wait now? So I'm my youngest baby, she's a little over a year and a half. So it's like, hey, like this is something I need to capitalize on now so that we can enjoy through her childhood, and you talk about 6 years later in the positions that you're in today. So I'd love to connect and jump on calls just like this to learn from individuals like yourself. So yeah, I definitely see the power that it has, becoming a real estate investor.
Yeah, absolutely. You have to set up a foundation, right? So
Correct.
I like how you went all in. So you've got your deals going, and those 3, 5, 7 years down the road, they're going to pay off big, right? And then at the same time, one of the mentors that I've listened to over the years, his name is JT Fox, said, always have one big deal going, right? That's your 300 unit, that's your big syndications, but also never turn down the smaller deals as long as they fit within your line, right? Within your line of unique ability, your line of work, right? So, like, for example, yourself, right? You've got your big multifamily apartments going, now adding the short term vacation rentals for cash flow. Genius, right? So, always stay within the line, but always have smaller deals going. For me, I wanted to go all in with a bunch of small deals, and that was scale, right? That was
Correct.
scale, which, in terms per se, it kind of came back and, I grew a little too fast. So I made mistakes doing it, right? I
Yeah.
went and did all these flood flips, right? And I started renovating all these flood properties from Hurricane Harvey. And that was another bite. But I learned a lot through doing that. And a lot of times as an operator, right, you learn with experience. We've done that, we've gone through it, and you're doing the same, right? You have to integrate yourself into these types of businesses. And as you build your legacy, you've got to build different angles, right? So another point of us building our legacy is when my child was born. He's also a year and a half, by the way.
Congratulations,
Right?
brother. That's
Yeah,
amazing.
yeah. Thank you, man. So when he was born last year in 2022, we were setting up our foundation. So we set up a very sophisticated trust for my wife, myself, and my son. So all of our real estate goes into the sophisticated trust now, right?
Yes.
Even the ownership of some of my LLCs that own joint ventures, because we have our fund, we buy properties in our personal portfolio, and we do joint ventures with different, joint venture partners, right? So
Okay.
even some of those we set up to be owned, and the cash flow be built through the trust. With this trust, we have total asset protection, we have some tax benefits, and we have estate planning already built in. All of it at one time, without having to do a bunch of additional LLCs, without having to put a bunch of additional dollars every year. Like, that was a foundation. I was like, okay, how do I set up my legacy, right? And I've also, like, I've worked with different clients. I've taught different seminars and courses. That also is part of my legacy. One day, one of my goals is to impact 1 million people, and then how I'm going to do it is through, courses, events, seminars, right? But ultimately, my main goal is to hit the 5 times New York Times bestselling author. Right? It's something that I've always wanted to do, and so I'm working on creating the strategy for my first book right now.
Wow. Amazing, dude. You talk about, you were aiming towards 10 million, right? And now you're aiming towards hitting the Forbes, right? Uh,
Mhm.
there's no doubt in my mind that you'll be able to get there, especially with the adversity that you've already talked about, and taking those steps, initiative steps to get in there. It's all about taking action in this world, and you are, a proven formula that will continue to conquer these goals. Great stuff, George. All right.
Appreciate it,
Uh,
brother.
so a little bit about your short-term rentals. So in the Houston market area, is that mainly where you focus at, or have you expanded outside of that, to maybe another state?
Absolutely, man. So as far as personal portfolio and joint ventures, because we have a huge access of subject to properties, and we're able to acquire. Houston is our focus, 65-mile radius around Houston, right? The fund itself is opening up 3 to 5 additional markets on top of Houston, right? And then the reason for that is we want to obviously diversify the risk. We want to go into different different volatility type of markets, right? Because you have in short-term rentals. Let me explain, give a little context here. In big short-term vacation rentals, you have some markets with high seasonality, aka higher volatility, okay, where the revenue goes up and down. So we want to expand into different markets that have less volatility, right? Meaning we want to go into, for example, like others, Dallas, let me just give you an example, like outside of Dallas or outside of Austin, those are going to be good markets. They're going to be metro markets. Now, if we go to a market like Galveston, Texas, or like Grand Canyon, that's a higher volatility market, right? Why? Because the farther you are and the closer you are to the water, right? And the farther you are from the city where people congregate, it's not a metro market, it's more of a mountain market, right? Vacation rental market. People just mostly go there on vacation. So we're going to diversify our portfolio with different volatility, seasonality patterns.
Correct.
So that we can have a more stable portfolio.
And this is through the fund, correct? That you're looking to expand into those. Yeah.
Right. This is through the fund. Mm-hmm.
Amazing. Amazing. So, we're a couple days away from New Year's, right? 2024. Can you tell the people a little bit about what goals does George Salas and his capital group have in mind for 2024?
Absolutely, brother. Our main goal is to raise our $10 million, and that's the only and major goal, right? And as a group, as a company, we're targeted to raise the 10 million in 2024. We've got different partnerships, different webinars already going, and then at the same time, as we do that, we're going to have an overflow of investors, right, that don't fit the fund model because it's an accredited investor fund, right? And then from there, our goal is also to do 15 to 20 JV deals, right, with some of our partners and ourselves and our group, right? Either JVs or us acquire as a group outside of the fund.
Okay. Yeah, man. I'd love to be a part of that, George. Again, as you see, I'm beginning my education there in the short-term rental arbitrage world. And, if Houston's a hot market, so I'd love to capitalize on these opportunities, brother. So is there something that, that we can eventually partner on down the road here in 2024? Let's do it. Let's put it together.
I love it, man. Let's do it, brother.
Okay. So a little bit, we're wrapping up a little bit here. Before we go, man. So you talk about educating yourself and taking action. What's something that you can leave the people behind with in order to take action in 2024?
Yeah, absolutely. So every year is an opportunity to start fresh, to realign yourself, right? So my biggest advice slash, I guess, action taking steps for anyone, whether you're getting started or whether you're already a seasoned investor or sophisticated professional, real estate professional, is to continue to grow by working on yourself, right? So I'm an avid learner of everything I do. So I've got 3 things that I always recommend to people, right? It's part of my purpose, it's part of our core values. And those are, number 1 is growth and learning. So that's the number 1 thing, right? As you grow and learn, you're going to develop skills, you're going to develop competency, right? You're going to develop everything that you need. And at the end of the day, it is how you change and who you become that will make you step to the next level. A lot of people say, oh my God, I haven't made it there. I'm not there. I need to learn this. But it's really not about the skill that you're learning. It's not about that skill. It's about you. It's about how you grow, because the skill that you're learning has nothing to do, well, it has something to do, but not as much to do than you. Like if you become competent, if you learn that skill and you learn different skills around that skill, what happens? Then that skill is so easy for you. So for example, if you learn how to use AI, just one example, right? Yeah. Then that makes you a professional in many different areas, right? So one skill. So I always think of what is that 10x thing that you could do, right? That could complement other skills. So let me give you an example. As you launch a fund and you learn how to run a private equity company, you learn money management skills, you learn asset management skills, you learn lots of underwriting, right? And I mean, you learn how to manage a fund, and then you also learn how to manage real estate. You're learning how to acquire real estate, right? So you're learning three different skills by making one big decision.
Correct.
Growth and learning. Number two is purpose. Really know why you're doing what you're doing, right? Journal about it, write about it. I use this app called Growth Day, right? And I don't,
Okay.
like I've used it for 6 years from this. So the app has been out for 3 years. I've used it for 3 years, but I've been with Brandon Bouchard. He's my #1 person development coach, right? And the more I grow, the more I see other skills growing. For me, it's always working on the foundation, right? And I always journaling and meditation and purpose and really figuring out, why am I doing this? Like, what do I really want? Ask yourself this question: what do you want in 2024? And why do you want that? That's purpose. Okay. And number three is process. Okay. Process by the means of changing and tweaking what you're doing right and improving it, and focusing more on what you're doing right and focusing less on what you're doing wrong. You tweak your process, right? You tweak your process within you about your productivity. You tweak your process about how you underwrite deals. You tweak your process about how you treat your family. You tweak your process. You improve in different areas, but it's always with that mindset, right? If you think high level and you think, how do I tweak this, right? And I personally, for example, my 3 skills for 2024 are: number 1 is how to be the best husband ever, 10x my marriage. That's one, right? Has nothing to do with work, but I'm improving myself. So when I do that, Matt, guess what? Relationship skills with my strategic partners are going to improve, right? Because now
right.
I'm learning who's other skill, right? So that's going to create happiness in other areas of my life, right? The other skill is leadership. If you're not a leader, a great leader of the 21st century in 2024, then you are behind, right? So leadership. And number 3 is really, I am becoming a master in finance, brother. Okay, I'm already fantastic at finance, but now it's like super high level finance, portfolio management, right? I'm learning about, about different money management methods, like how Warren Buffett manages, right? So I'm taking different skills, how Ray Dalio manages his hedge funds, right? How Steven Schwarzman manages Blackstone, right? So like, how do you get to the 10x level? Because 5 years down the road, we are going to sell this portfolio of properties in this fund for a 9-figure exit. Okay, that is right there with 110% confidence why I'm doing it, right?
Yes, sir. Amazing stuff you got going on there, man. I really appreciate the time that you took out of your day to jump on the First Down Legacy podcast. I know myself, I've learned so much just from talking to you in this short hour. And for individuals who will watch this in the future, I know that they're gonna hear the passion and take away again and take action from it. George Salas, I appreciate you, brother. You have an amazing rest of your day, and I will connect with you soon, very after this. Where can we find you on Facebook, on Instagram? What's your tag there so the people know where to follow you?
Absolutely, brother. My social media site, where everything, even my short-term rentals and everything, all my socials are, it's George Salas 360, GeorgeSalas, the number 360.com. That's my social media site, right? I have georgesalas.com coming soon, not yet ready, right? And Empress Capital Group is where our portfolio lies, is our private equity company's website. So thanks for having me, brother.
Of course, man. I look forward to connecting with you soon. Again, you have a great rest of your day, brother. Thank you very much.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of the First Down Legacy Podcast. We hope you've gained valuable insights and inspiration for your multifamily investing journey. Remember, your legacy in multifamily investing is within reach. Keep learning, keep growing, and keep building your success story. We look forward to having you back with us for more game-changing strategies and stories in the multifamily investing world. Until then, keep the momentum going and keep building that legacy. This is the First Down Legacy Podcast. Thank you for listening, and we'll catch you on the next episode.